Combine week and Sean McDermott's press conference that lasted a half hour revealed so much, not only about this previous season, but the upcoming plans for Bills Mafia. Welcome to my channel here, Bills News Consolidated. We need to discuss Sean McDermott's words during his press conference here, one of which talking about the safety position, potential loss of Micah Hyde, and also what Jordan Poyer has presented, the wealth of knowledge and players that he's been around at that safety position throughout his career, and just saying what a position it actually is. And Sean McDermott, having played the safety position in the past, even declared how hard it actually is between the communication skills, between just breaking down the play on a play-to-play basis and really understanding what the offense is ultimately trying to do to you. Now, the Bills clearly here could very well be without Micah Hyde. And listening to Chris Brown, Matty Glab, Steve Tasker on One Bills Live, they've been discussing it. And I think it's clear that Micah Hyde really isn't the player that he once was. Between the injuries, he's definitely an older type player. So the Bills probably, most likely, will be moving on from this safety position. And the question really arises, who's going to be stepping into that role? Like, are we going to be maybe taking Trey White, putting him in there, Christian Benford and putting him in there, maybe Kyer Elam at a surprise, DeMar Hamlin also on this team already. Cam Lewis was working there, but he's a free agent. So there is a glaring hole there at the safety position. And what I want to just talk about here is when it comes down to the NFL draft, I think we're going to be putting a priority at the safety position. It's going to take some time for, if we draft a rookie, to understand that he's going to have to get adjusted to the game and be able to play. Like, I don't know if Sean McDermott feels comfortable starting a rookie safety on this defense. We've never seen that in the Sean McDermott era. But another question that was brought up to Sean McDermott was looking at Dalton Kincaid and Osiris Torrance and the way they were able to contribute their rookie seasons. Sean McDermott flat out said that it is a young man's league. More and more teams are relying on rookies to come in and perform and contribute to their roster. And I think that has to happen for the Buffalo Bills simply because of the cap space and the money that we're allocating to the veteran players like Josh Allen and others. So I really believe the Buffalo Bills, their draft strategy here is to find players that can come in and make an immediate impact. And that includes the safety position, that includes the wide receiver position, potential running back position, defensive line. We need guys to come in, contribute immediately. We don't have any time to waste. Years past, we might be able to have developed them in the background, given them a little bit of chance to develop, but not anymore. So I think Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane are going to definitely be prioritizing that in this year's NFL draft. And speaking of wide receivers, to me, this clearly means the Buffalo Bills need to find a wide receiver that is a plug-and-play wide receiver. And when you look at what they did in college, we have to understand what they did in college and how that's going to translate to the NFL. Did they run the entire route tree? Were they in a heavy passing attack where they were throwing the ball? Unfortunately, majority of colleges are in that spread type offense and they are passing the ball quite a bit. Now, looking at a complement to James Cook, it's going to be a little bit harder because college teams don't necessarily run the ball a lot, right? They might just have this gimmick RPO style run out of the spread, and they're not really running the ball with the quarterback under center. And we've seen that under Joe Brady and also Ken Dorsey, Josh Allen being a little bit more under center than he's ever been in years past. And I think we're going to continue that for the 2024 season. But the question is, how many colleges have done that with their running backs, and how much of a transition will it be for a rookie running back to come to the Buffalo Bills and be that second punch to James Cook? So we really need to eye in on what they ultimately did in college compared to what they're going to be doing in the NFL on the Buffalo Bills. Some other points he brought up was Bobby Babich being able to call plays for Bills Mafia. And I like Sean McDermott's honesty here, saying that he has trust that Bobby Babich is going to be a great defensive coordinator, but he still needs to prove himself when it comes down to calling plays. All the things that you have to manage on a play-to-play basis between player personnel based on like what you called on the play before, what you believe the offense is going to call. Maybe a player on defense got hurt and you need to change things up mid-game. Like, there are so many variables and things that a defensive coordinator needs to really consider during the game to call plays. So I think Sean McDermott says he has faith, he has trust that Bobby Babich can do it, but he hasn't done it. And it's still a matter of time whether he can or not. You really don't know until he does it. But bringing in all these different coaches too, Sean McDermott said it's going to bring a fresh perspective, an outside perspective to this team and ultimately what we could ultimately do for success. So I think it's not only Bobby Babich, the quarterback coach that we brought in, and passing game coordinator, and defensive assistant are all going to be huge additions. Now, Eric Washington leaving to the Chicago Bears. The Bills don't have an assistant head coach right now, and they were asking Sean McDermott if they were going to fill that position, but it does not seem that way at the moment. And I think it could boil back down to Bobby Babich being promoted to defensive coordinator. Obviously, Sean McDermott having to manage head coach and defensive coordinator last year, but now Bobby Babich is going to be defensive coordinator. So what is the need of an assistant head coach? I think Sean McDermott delegating some of those tasks to Bobby Babich, taking a little bit off his plate, which is a good thing. It will allow Sean McDermott to really keen in on just being a head coach. Also, maybe calling plays defensively too. It seems that way. That's going to happen for Bills Mafia. And, just some other things that they spoke about during the combine here, like Sean McDermott contributing, talking to Bill Polian, listening and watching the Super Bowl, learning from others in the NFL and what ultimately works. And I know one final thing that we saw against Kansas City Chiefs and the Bills' deficiencies was the lack of explosive plays. And Sean McDermott addressed this by saying, look, you can have two ways to have explosive plays. You can have throws way down the field, right? Deep passes like the one that went off the hands of Stephon Diggs, or you can dink and dunk underneath and rely on the player's rack run after catch. So there's really two ways to do it. But in my mind, I think you need to have both. And last year, we presented that we had the rack. Even Stephon Diggs, we would throw the ball short to Stephon Diggs, and he would break loose for a big gain. We would do that with Khalil Shakir, throwing the ball short, and he would rip off a big game. Even Dalton Kincaid would do the same too. But I think you still need to have those deep throws. We still need to have a deep threat wide receiver. And it does seem like Gabe Davis is going to earn way too much money for the Buffalo Bills to retain and bring back to Bills Mafia. But if you guys enjoyed this video, I'd really, really appreciate it if you hit like, subscribe for future content. 80% of you are not subscribed. Like, that is literally how you're going to support my efforts for creating videos just like this and keeping this channel ultimately alive. You guys are all truly the best. Check the links in the description too for the Buffalo Chicken Wing merch. Also, you guys could get $50 off Course Careers, land a high-paying job in tech, fully remote. They're hiring everybody right away. I mean, we recently just had a janitor graduate and get hired at an $80,000 job. So really do appreciate you guys. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.